So we've got a busy week ahead, and the latest data is set to show that the country's economy is recovering, even though it's at a very slow pace. eNCA money anchor Rofhiwa Madzena is joining us now to talk more about this. Rofhiwa, and you're the lucky one joining us from the comfort of your home on a rainy evening in Johannesburg. Good to see you. Quite a lot to get through. In fact, I want us to start with the data on manufacturing output, which is showing an improvement in that sector. How come?
That's right, Thembekile. So what we're going to be seeing over the next few months is that the economy is recovering very well, albeit at a slow pace. So what we're going to see with manufacturing output is that it's going to be supported by the easing of lockdown. And what's nice is that companies have started to reinvest in the sector, looking to invest in manufacturing of clothing outlets because they haven't been able to import clothes from the likes of China. So what you're going to be seeing is that local companies are going to be investing in manufacturing plants locally so that they're not reliant on countries in the East or China or European countries. So we're going to be seeing some data that's going to be very positive, and also we're going to see that there's going to be a little bit of a creation of jobs in that particular sector, which is one of the third biggest sectors in the country's economy.
And these commodity prices that are helping mining production, how's that going?
So you saw the price of gold reach record highs earlier this year, over $2,000 an ounce. And we're seeing that the likes of Sibanye and other gold companies are benefiting from that. So mining production data is going to be coming out this week as well. And it's going to show that positivity in terms of production. The problem, though, is that we're going to see the impact of Eskom's load shedding on the mining companies. So we do know that mining companies are dealing with higher operation costs and also higher electricity costs, and the fact that they were dealing with load shedding as well had an impact on the amount of produce or commodities that they were producing to send to big economies like the US and China. And then you'll also see that the fact that the lockdowns globally had an impact on those exports. So one of our biggest export partners are Europe and China, and because of their lockdowns, we weren't able to send our commodities through. But because of the easing of the lockdowns that we're seeing, we're going to see that start to improve. And also what's quite nice is the price of platinum improving, and that's also having an impact on some of the country's biggest miners. The biggest thing to watch, though, as I've just mentioned, Thembekile, is the fact that our electricity supply is unstable, and yet the mining companies are still having to pay a hefty price for the supply of electricity.
Another sector that's hoping for some good news this week is the retail industry. Their sales figures are also due out in the coming weeks, the coming week, in fact, and the question there is whether consumers are spending.
Well, Thembekile, unfortunately, they're not, and it's not surprising. So we saw with credit data about 2 weeks ago that consumers are not even taking out debt, and this would have been encouraged in these times that consumers should take loans, short-term loans, medium-term loans, so that they can spend and add money to the economy. But consumers have been afraid because of the uncertainty of their income, and so they haven't been able to approach their banks for that. So what we're seeing in terms of retail sales is that consumers are spending money on the bare essentials, just as they did in terms of level 5 lockdown, but they're not buying things like durable goods, your televisions and other big ticket items because they just don't have that disposable income. Another thing that you'll remember is that a lot of consumers have been either retrenched or their incomes have been reduced by either 50 to 60%. So that disposable income is not there, and many consumers are afraid to spend. Many consumers are afraid to use debit credit cards as well as take out loans. So what you'll see in retail sales is a little bit of a slump. But because we're going to be approaching Black Friday, and I must remind you that Game and Macro, the Massmart group, are going to be extending Black Friday to the entire month of November. They are hoping that consumers will be pulling out their cards, debit or credit, and spending a little bit in the festive season. And I hope you too.
Well, before you go, Faith and I want to know what we're getting from you for Black Friday.
Well, can we talk about it offline?
Well, I mean, we've got all the time in the world. eNCA money anchor Rofhiwa Madzena will give you a few more minutes to think about it.